Don't blink. Yes, you blink. Welcome to the show. This is doing Mobster, having a wonderful day on this 6th February 2025. We're doing a classic video of Ink today. We're doing something that is a bit of a nutty concept, a little bit of a fun concept, and we're doing it together, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Talking about the pleasure or the benefit of being broke. Now, disclaimer, this video isn't telling you, hey, go broke. This video isn't a pressure of, yo, you get too much money, you're living comfortably, bro, shame on you, right? It's not so much as it's just the concept of what being broke taught me. So my connection with being broke is, one thing, and I told you guys this story a lot of times. My parents were very hard worker. They were enslaved by their job, and because they were working, they were living to work versus working to live. I had this really negative relationship with work. I was like, no, I'm not gonna be I'm not gonna be a cog in machine, right? I'm gonna be my own person. I want to have a personality. I want to have a life. My mom, my mom, my mom's an amazing person. I love her dearly, but if you ask her about stories, she'll tell you, oh, this time I went to travel, or I had this party, right? I had this party, and I find it quite comforting that she has some story. But again, when you ask her the story that she has on her own, she has next to none. My father, when you ask the story that he has that are dear to him, he doesn't have any. He doesn't have any at all, which is convo with ma. Nice. So those two people didn't have memories. So when I came in the apartment, which was my very first sense or very first taste of freedom, I was like, okay, well, how what do I want to do? What I want to do with my life, and what I wanted to do with my life was to relax and play video games. Now, was that a career choice? No, I wasn't streaming. I wasn't making content, right? If I was streaming or making content, then maybe. But it was just because that's what I need to do. I need to find myself, right? So out of the a lot of people call this laziness. I'm gonna call it fear. I'm gonna call it the fear of turning like my parents. And my parents, I love them. I'm not saying that they're not good people. They're amazing people. But you know, 2025 is a year of balance, right? We're aiming for balance. They lacked a balance, sadly. Um, yeah, and there's nothing against them. It was just the person they were. Now, ultimately speaking, even when you look at me last year, the amount of videos that I took out, the number of content that we did, and it was all in the sense, it was all in the sense or the mentality of, okay, well, I have to make content. I have to do something with my day, right? So again, there's no balance. But then I wasn't working, and then at first, so the thing with not working, which is actually phenomenal, was I had this mentality of working like a fucking donkey, right? Which is the expression in French, but working really hard. And you work really hard for 1 year and you make your money, right? And then you take a year off because you got cash. Why would I work when I have cash? Why are you working? To pay the bills. Okay, cool. What if I told you that you could take care of the bill for a year? What'd you do? Right? So I would do that. But then as I got older, I was like, dude, you're so fucked because you're working so hard. Then the year that you take off is a year where you need to relax. You're kind of like burning yourself out. You're burning the candle at each end. I had moments of my life where I had two jobs. I was working 60, 70 hours a week. I was making a lot of cash, but I was working 60, 70 hours a week, right? And then all that money that I worked so hard for, I was just chill. I was just chill. And I would get junk food, junk food, and junk food, and I have an unhealthy relationship with food. But that was my comfort zone. But what I would do is I would work like a fucking donkey. I would work so hard, right? And I would work so hard, and what happened is I would tire myself out, and then I would eat junk food, and that junk food made me unhealthy. So I was unhealthy. 1 year I was unhealthy mentally, and 1 year I was unhealthy physically, right? And then we pushed it, and we pushed it, and we pushed it, and we pushed it, and we pushed it, right? And now what I'm realizing is I have to find a healthy balance in between working and not working, right? But still, this is the video is the pleasure of being broke, right? Now, we're gonna be checking it right now. Right now, do I have a lot of money? No. Am I broke? No, I'm good, right? But at the same time, we're in this almost, we're all this and this almost this is a life-changing event. We're in a position where we do work a lot. We do work a lot, but at the same time, we're not working too much. We're in a situation where we do work a lot, but at the same time, we're not making millions, right? So it's a very trying. It's more so I'm working because I love it. I'm working because I got a passion. I'm working because we get to play Tokyo Go Break the Chain and we get to see MasterChef Australia season 2, right? Again, it's super, super, super important, right? Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about my relationship with broke because I didn't work. I didn't have cash. I didn't have cash. So what I would do, right, is of course that's the craziest thing. Like I said, I would work 1 year. For example, in my year, and I wouldn't get unemployment because I thought it was a shameful blah 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 blah. I was wrong because that's money that I paid, and my father was always like, "Hey, I'm starting to get hungry, so that's why starting to get really hungry, to be honest. Um, so yeah, so that's not good. See, my father was always say, "Hey, Steph, go on unemployment." Like, no, Dad, I don't need unemployment. So what I would do, I would have, for example, in a year, I don't know, I made 25,000, I made 40,000, right? And I would do, and I would spend that 30,000 and 40,000 in a year. So of course, in the beginning, I'm buying fucking consoles. I'm buying game after game after game after game after game after game after game, right? And I'm like, fuck you. I'm gonna do whatever I want with that money. And then the last couple of months, I was like, okay, well, I got 4,000 left, right? How many months can I do with 4,000? And I would do 4 or 5 months, and I would be like, okay, good, good. I'm able to survive. But I've dealt with a lot of being broke. So for example, right now I'm talking about good years. I'm talking about good years where I was working a lot. But there was a instance where right away when I left the house, I wasn't working. I had a job that was a part-time job. So that job I was working 20 hours a week. Right? I was being paid $13 an hour, which is basically $8 an hour. I was making 400 per month. My rent was 575. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? It's nuts, isn't it? And then you realize that, okay, well, I have money saved up, but I was being broke, right? And I couldn't buy things because the more I bought things, the less time I could spend at home. The more I bought things, right? The more, and it's nuts. It's absolutely crazy when you think about it. The more I could, it was a totally different era too. Think about why that was. But then I remember, sorry, we were so hungry, we took a break. But then I remember that what being broke actually taught me, because being broke was a blessing, right? So the original concept for this video was being broke. See, it's a totally different era, like I was saying. In the sense that with money, right, you realize just how much you're missing. With money, you realize just how little you have, right? It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But you realize that, okay, well, guess what? I'm gonna have to do with what I have. Nowadays, there's such a consumption with Amazon, with the fact that we're able to buy things online. It's not new. It's not new. It's not old, sorry. It's pretty new. So even back then, I could have. Back then, I never had experience with Amazon, so I wasn't sure what I was missing, and it didn't bother me because, eh, what am I missing, right? Now that you know, and now you realize that you're talking with people, and they're enslaved by cash, and they're talking about how much cash they have, which is more than you maybe, and because they're more than you, and it's like, yo, it's not enough. I'm like, how is that possible? I dealt with my father. My father, he told me this story would always, always, always mark me. He was telling me this father. My father was always telling me about this story. He had a government job, right? And it's nuts because he was making at least $40 an hour, which is back then was really, really, really a lot. Now, wait a second. Sorry, we're watching MasterChef and it's actually really good. So, what was I saying? Yeah. So he was talking to me about how his friend, even for $40, they couldn't make it, and they were going to a restaurant for fucking toast. Just how much you spend that money, but realize that the more you can buy, so the more option that you have to buy, the most accessible it is to buy things, the more money you're gonna need, right? And then you end up being broke. So the beauty of being broke is it will teach you a lot of things. The one thing that will teach you is how enslaved you are to money. So because you're so enslaved to money, you constantly need more. I'm not saying that you don't need more, but I'm seeing a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people with broke, 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 and they're working, and like you're looking at their bank account and they're completely broke. There's this really good channel which is Calibammer, and the Calibammer and financial audit, and you realize the amount of people that are in debt. It's a lot more. The face of poverty changes. So you see, there's people that are going to be working minimum salary, they're going to be doing 40 hours a week, and they're not going to make it, right? Now, ultimately, kids are also something, but for now, I'm talking about this, right? So you realize that, and also, need is the mother of invention. If you need something, you're gonna try to fix that need, right? Because you're broke, you don't. There's a lot of things that you need. For example, right? One of the biggest things that I had when I was broke, right, is being entertained, right? Now we're still broke. I'm not saying when I was broke. We're still broke, but the entertainment district is very, very different in the sense that we know always what to do. Like there's always something to do. There's always something that I need to do. I'm always running here, there, here, there. It's crazy. Um, but ultimately speaking, I feel like it speaks volume. I feel like it speaks volume because the biggest need was entertainment, and entertainment to me was what? Entertainment to me was having Wi-Fi because you can see movies, right? Entertainment to me was having a cable because I grew up in a family that had cable. Entertainment was playing sport, but I didn't play sport. Entertainment was playing video games, but I didn't have a console, so I had a phone. That phone lasted 6 hours. I had 6 hours of video games per day. That's not enough, right? So what we start to do, we start to ask ourselves, what is our need? What do we need to do? What is the need that we need to fulfill, right? And then because we were able to see the need that we had, you're like, okay, well, guess what? I have this need, and then I'm not sure what I need to do, right? And it's not because you understand that there's ways to fix it. So, for example, we were reading manga a lot. We were reading manga, which actually is one of my biggest passions. We were we were more so. See, I have this gym at home. Now this gym was free, right? I bought the tool that we have. I bought them, right? But this boredom forced me to work out, and I had the best shape that I ever had. Now, ultimately, I was in a good shape because I was too broke to buy food that I like. So I used to eat food that I don't like, because I ate food that I don't like, then you eat less of it, right? That's another trick to lose weight. But being broke, it taught me so much. It taught me to be the person that I am today. Like, okay, well, guess what? I don't have it. And this is the most beautiful thing with need. So if I tell you, okay, what's your favorite, diver- um, not diversity, fuck, entertainment. You know, say social media, right? Cool. Then I'm going to tell you, what is your second form of entertainment that you prefer? You tell me, I don't know, Netflix, something like that, right? And if I tell you your third, you're gonna say what? Well, TV. And then I ask you for your fourth, right? You possibly gonna say sport if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you're gonna tell me, well, I don't have any choice. Well, you have a choice with radio. So radio was something that I would get for free because again, it's free. And with radio, we had a situation of I'm in a position where it's a beautiful thing. It's a really really beautiful thing because with radio you're like, holy shit, I can get anything and everything for free, and it's in a sense of doesn't matter how broke I am, I get it. But then it was not my favorite thing. So I would watch shows, and that was my only entertainment. Because it was my only entertainment, I had to deal with it. It's like going to theater, okay, and you're watching a movie that you don't really like, and you watch that movie and you don't really like it, and then you're in a position of, ugh, I don't really like this one. I don't really like it. I don't really like it. You know, and it's nuts because you don't have anything else, you're willing to listen to something. For example, the theater. I don't like the movie, but I pay for it. I don't really like the radio, but I'm just gonna listen to it because I listen to it. I listen to people's opinion, right? And it doesn't seem like it at the time, but I got quite involved in the people's opinion. I would recognize those people and say, "Hey, I like this show. Oh, I like this show less. Oh, hey, I like this show." Right? And then what happened was beautiful. Was I remember later on in life, I'm like, yo, I kind of remember. I kind of remember that I was watching this on radio, and I kind of remember that at this time, my kind of my only connection with life, with the outside world is social. I didn't listen to the news. I didn't listen to the news. They were presented to me during the radio show, so I didn't have a choice but to listen to them. You know, so it's actually quite nice. It's actually quite nuts when you think about it. You know, it's actually quite nuts when you think about it. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the radio. But just understanding that we had something that was this. Just understanding how much I did when I was broke, how much I was able to achieve. Right? I remember reading more than I ever read when I was broke. I remember going to the library to get some books because I was broke. Being broke was a really good time of my life, right? Because I made it a good time of your life. So this video is gonna be named something like lesson of being broke. Lesson of being broke is do the most with what you have, and the rest we don't give a shit, right? And that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching. Love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.